Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lincoln Riley, the USC Trojans, have another coaching staff hire to make as running backs coach Kiel McDonald joining Jim Harbaugh in the Los Angeles Chargers at the NFL level. As a Michigan fan, we're in the same boat here, right? Jim Harbaugh just taking guys from Michigan staff, now going to USC staff. This one stings, no doubt, for USC fans. I think Coach McDonald did a phenomenal job going back to his time at Utah, did a phenomenal job at USC last year with a guy like Marshawn Lloyd. Now, I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about this as well. And I'll tell you why. One, Lincoln Riley has shown that he is going to be extremely aggressive hiring a coaching staff around him. You just look at what he did this offseason, going out and grabbing Dan Lynn from UCLA. You go out and get a sitting head coach at the FCS level in Matt Entz, who's won national championships at the FCS level, to join and coach the linebacker room. And then you go out into the NFL and land a guy in Eric Henderson, who we are extremely excited about on that defensive line. Lincoln Riley has shown he's not playing games in terms of hiring a coaching staff around him. And so although Kiel McDonald was a phenomenal coach for Lincoln Riley in the USC Trojans, I don't think it's crazy to talk about Lincoln Riley making a massive hire at this running backs coach position heading into that 2024 season. I want to talk about a few candidates that I think would be phenomenal choices for this USC program. Extremely excited to get into it. Before we do, just want to say, and as always, thank you to you guys and a massive shout out to the USC program. I mean, the USC fans and the amount of love, the amount of support you guys have shown the boys over the last couple months, whether we're talking high school recruiting, transfer portal, coaching hires, that stuff means the world. It's a program I love talking about, love talking ball with you guys in the comment section. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, would love to hear some of candidates that you guys have in mind in the comment section. We'll chop it up there. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And again, I think Lincoln Riley is going to make a splash hire. He's done it pretty much every single time this offseason. I don't think there's a reason to think that he's not going to do it with this running backs coach position. The first guy I want to talk about, and in my mind, probably the best running backs coach that we see across the country right now, and that is the sitting running backs coach for the Texas Longhorns, Tarvar Choice. And Tarvar Choice, what he's done, the kind of the proof's in the pudding, right? What he's done with a guy like Jonathan Brooks in the 2023 season, what he's done with guys like Bijan Robinson in the past, going back to his time at Georgia Tech with a running back like Jahmyr Gibbs. Tarvar Choice checks the two biggest boxes that you want in a running backs coach and really an assistant coach in general. And that is an ace on the recruiting trail, a guy that a lot of top talent want to come play for, but more importantly, taking that top talent and developing those guys into all-conference, all-American, NFL draft picks. Tarvar Choice, for my money, the best running backs coach in the country. Now, how realistic is this hire? That's probably the question you're asking. I think a lot of USC fans immediately would take Tarvar Choice if it's a possibility. I'm not sure if this is a possibility or not, but looking at what Lincoln Riley's done and looking at how aggressive he's been hiring a coaching staff around him, I'm not going to rule out Lincoln Riley going out and making a massive hire at this spot. Maybe you have to obviously open up the checkbook, maybe play around with some position titles and that type of stuff as well. But Tarvar Choice, I think, running back coach number one for USC on their board. Another really interesting name to throw out there, and I think probably a little bit more of a realistic option, and that is running backs coach DeMarco Murray at Oklahoma. This one, in my mind, a little bit more realistic, one being Lincoln Riley hired him to coach the running backs room at Oklahoma during his time there. So there is a relationship there. More importantly, DeMarco Murray, another absolute dynamite running backs coach that I think is a riser in the coaching industry, right? This is a guy that had a historic career at Oklahoma, went to the NFL level, was phenomenal. Another guy similar to Tarvar Choice, a guy that gets it done on the recruiting trail. Players want to go play for DeMarco Murray. Obviously, five-star running back Taylor Tatum committing to Oklahoma, kind of evidence of that. But I think DeMarco Murray's done a phenomenal job with that running back room in Norman, Oklahoma as well, right? Guys like Gavin Sawchuk doing some really good things for this Oklahoma offense. Again, I think the question you start with is how realistic is it? I think this one is probably a little bit more realistic than Tarvar Choice, given the Lincoln Riley, DeMarco Murray relationship. this is probably the next, probably my number 2 choice. If I'm a USC fan, you got Tarvar Choice, DeMarco Murray. Now, another name that I would throw out here, and as a Michigan fan, this one hurts me to talk about, but running backs coach for the Michigan Wolverines, Mike Hart, obviously a Michigan alum, stud player for Michigan, was one of my all-time favorite players when I was a kid. The thing with Mike Hart is we're not really sure. As a Michigan fan, I'm checking updates every single day. I'm not really sure what the future is with Mike Hart in this program. I think Mike Hart was a guy that wanted to get that offensive coordinator title, did not get that title when Sharon Moore took the job, and he's taking a leave of absence from the program right now. I think a lot of Michigan fans have some question marks on what the future of Mike Hart is with this Michigan program. And if he ends up becoming a free agent, this one, in my mind, would be an absolute no-brainer for USC. Mike Hart done a phenomenal job, again, not only on the recruiting trail, but developing guys like Blake Corum, like Donovan Edwards. I think Mike Hart, another name that USC fans should be really excited about. The last name I want to shout out, and this one I think is a really another interesting one, and that is Keith Bohn. He followed Jonathan Smith to Michigan State to be their running backs coach. Now, the reason I want to bring up Coach Keith is he's a guy that is a West Coast guy, right? He's from the state of California. He's coached at Washington, Boise State, Oregon State. This is his first time going out to the Midwest, following Jonathan Smith to Michigan State. If he's a West Coast guy, I don't think it's crazy to talk about Lincoln Riley going out and grabbing Coach Keith to coach these running backs at USC. Keith has done a phenomenal job. You take a look at some of the guys that he's produced, not only during his time at Washington, you scroll down and look at what he's done on the recruiting trail for the Washington Huskies, landing a lot of premier running backs. But more importantly, at his time at Oregon State, probably worked with one of the more impressive running backs that we saw in all of college football. Damian Martinez had a phenomenal true freshman year, had a great sophomore year in 2023. Another guy that, in my mind, checks both those boxes that you're looking for. A guy that gets it done on the recruiting trail. He's from the state of California, which is massive. Again, we're talking about Lincoln Riley getting it done in the state of California. You can grab an assistant coach that has roots in the state. That's massive for USC on the recruiting trail. And finally, he's done a phenomenal job. You talk about the kind of running backs that Oregon State had, in bruising, physical backs that get it done. Both averaged over 5 yards per carry. This was an Oregon State rushing attack that was one of the best in the country. I think this would be another really good name for Lincoln Riley in the USC staff to pursue. At the end of the day, I listed the candidates that I thought, one, I tried to blend it between, all right, is it realistic? And then are they good coaching hires? I don't think that there's a non-realistic hire for Lincoln Riley in this USC program because, again, Lincoln Riley has just shown the last couple of weeks he is not afraid to open up the checkbook and go build a phenomenal staff around him. He just did it on the defensive side of the football. And you talk about Lincoln Riley in the pull he has for offensive coaches to come coach under him. Don't forget it. Like, Lincoln Riley is still one of the best offensive minds in all of college football. If you are a running backs coach, if you're coaching on the offensive side of the football, Lincoln Riley is a guy that you want to come coach under. And I think these names would be some really interesting names for USC to pursue. We're going to follow this conversation, follow this story as it plays out. The news just broke this morning. Wanted to talk about a few candidates that I thought would be really good hires. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Would love to hear some candidates from you guys in the comment section. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.